Education is a crucial sector in every nation and also a major investment into human capital development. And we have to emphasize the point of you being illiterate and getting educated in whatever you are doing. So today we have a guest on the show. He is Louis Adekola, an educational advancement professional. How are you doing, Louis? Good morning.
Very well, thank you.
I'm sure you're very familiar with the story that is making the rounds right now about the everyone is blaming the NYSC for the mass failure in the educational sector right now. And I'm thinking that shouldn't be so. We should start from the roots. And we're having this conversation before we went on here, so I want you to go ahead with that.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me on the program today, and it's such a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
I would like to say, just like I was saying earlier, it's not enough to blame anyone. It's not even enough to say that we're blaming NYSC, because at the end of the day, how long will the core members be teaching for? Let us look at the actual teachers in these schools. Let us look at the structures in this school. Let us look at the pedagogies, the way the teaching is being carried out. Let us look at the curriculum. Let us look at the system as a whole. So for me as a person, I would not, while I would say that some core members are actually out there who are not learned enough, who have not really taking their time to actually go through the process of education to the point of becoming actual teachers. All right. There is also so they've got their blame. All right. I was a core member, and I know that a lot of people who were core members with me were not excited about teaching. You understand? And teaching is a profession. It's not just a dumping ground, really. So while those people have their blames as well, but I think it is also very important to look at what the foundational problems in the education sectors are. So blaming NYSC, because it's not like when you're in camp for 3 weeks, you're taught how to teach.
Yes.
It's just like paramilitary training.
Yes.
And so it is assumed that when you pass through the university, you should be able, you know, to some extent to be able to teach, which is not true, because teaching actually is about connection. It's about understanding the people you want to teach. It's about being empathetic, understanding the student you're teaching, you know, putting yourself in their shoes. How will they learn? How do I present this story to them? And a lot of things are actually not working. Let us not blame NYSC. Let us face the actual problem. There is a fundamental problem in the education sector. Let us solve it.
All right, so let's talk about the role of education in transforming a nation. You mentioned that there is already a fundamental problem. Now, how can we get past this? How and what are the major roles that education could play in the progress of a nation?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. It's very important. If any country would do well, the educational sector is like the bottom line of everything, because that's what connects every other thing. We're talking about business, we're talking about working, we're talking about everything else. It connects to the way the education sector is. So it is important that every nation understands the importance of education. When we know the importance of education, we'll be able to invest into education. We'll be able to get things right. All right. So in order to be able to, you know, develop the country, you know, we need to be able to put more investment in terms of funding, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of training, in terms of facilities, in terms of growth into the education sector. So education from primary school all the way to tertiary education, it's very important. Sometimes we say, okay, basic education, but that might not be enough, because this is the 21st century. Things are constantly changing. So people need to be, you know, at the point where they're learning at every point in time. So one, education is very important, very key. Government needs to play their role. The parents need to play their role. I was talking about stopping the blame game, because I mean, last year the release of the global monitoring education policy on education, the theme was accountability in education.
Yes.
And the idea of accountability in education is ensuring that nobody is pointing the blame fingers.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the reason why we don't get it right is because the parents are saying, oh, you're not teaching my student right. They're blaming the teachers. The teachers are saying the students are not serious. The students are saying we don't have facilities. These educational administrators are saying government are not providing funding. At the end of the day, who is to be blamed? Everybody is pointing fingers.
Yes.
Do you understand? So it is important that we hold everybody responsible and accountable. At the end of the day, parents need to encourage their students, need to understand that education is very key.
Yeah.
Students need to play their role, going to school, enjoying what they are learning, and believing that it works. Because, you know, one of the challenges that we also have, which is an offshoot of a fundamental problem, is that people don't connect with the future of education.
Yes.
They connect with other areas. I can make money faster here. I don't need to spend so many years going to school and all that. So it's like a value system thing across board. And these are things that we need to fix.
Really, a lot of people need to understand that we've gotten to a point where education is like an investment.
It is an
you
investment.
have to put in, or you don't have to. I like the fact that you emphasized on everyone playing a vital role in educating people and educating children. That was really a good one, yes.
Thank you.
Now, I need to know, how do you ensure quality education, the one that is inclusive and is equitable? Like, how do you ensure that?
Okay, so again, everybody has got a role to play.
Yes.
Okay, so I started, so how I got my own passion for education was I was admitted to study educational management.
All right.
And, you know, a bit of my story. So I was admitted to study educational management. It was the first time I was hearing of the course. And, you know, just to crack you, like, I saw my name on the list, and then I called my dad and I said, my name just came out. I've been admitted to educational management. And my dad was like, oh, really? Congratulations. So what's the course? Meanwhile, I had talked about the course, but because he was not familiar, I hadn't heard about it before. I had not heard about it before. So, but when I went on my teaching practice, I realized that there was something wrong. I realized that I needed to do something. It was my first teaching practice, and I saw that students were coming to class, you know, in staccato. They would come on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. And Tuesdays and Thursdays they need to be on the farm with their parents. You know, there was a lot of distortion in all of these things. So I knew that I needed to play a role. So that was when I started, you know, organizing projects and, you know, doing counseling sessions and going to teacher training programs, and all of those things that has brought me to the space that I am today.
All right.
How do we now ensure, you know, quality education, make it inclusive and equitable? Like I said before, everybody needs a role, needs to play their role. Let me start with the government. To make education accessible, to make it qualitative, there is need for funding. There is need to make sure that schools have what they need. And it is not what they needed. It is what they need. Because, you know, education is constantly changing. Maybe with my level of exposure, I've seen the way education is run in different countries, and I'm amazed, you know, looking at what we have here. So it's not about what we needed 50 years ago, what we needed 20 years ago, or what we needed 5 years ago, or what we needed last year. It's about what do we need now. All right, so government needs to provide all of those things in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the resources, the instructional materials. It is, I mean, asking teachers to be drawing, spending a whole lesson time on drawing cockroach on the board, and, you know, pointing everything out. And I can't remember what they were. I know that we spent a lot of time drawing on the board, but I can't remember them. You know,
I remember.
So it's not enough, but we need to provide this facility. And the environment, you know, it's a mental thing. If you're going to a school where things are available, you are connected. I mean, you're in a cozy environment. It's a, you know, very good place. You want to learn. You enjoy learning, all right? But if you are not in a good place like that, you detest going to school. Teachers need to love what they're doing. Teachers need to be trained. Teachers need to realize that they are building a future. It is not out of, you know, misfortune. You know, some people feel that, okay, I'm a teacher because I couldn't find a job. If you're in that space because you couldn't find a job, make it your profession and love it.
Wow, that is really interesting. I really would love this conversation to continue, but time, they say, is money.
Yeah, I
but
know.
thank you so much, Louis
Pleasure.
Adekola, for coming on the
It's
show.
okay.
So everyone has a vital role to play in the educational sector. Stop pushing blames and stop pushing your responsibility to every other person. Pick up a role and stick to it. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, you need to own it when it has to do with education. And you need to, start doing something right now. You need to be the catalyst of change. Because I like how you stood up when you realized that, okay, so this is what I am now doing, and I have to focus on it and make that change. And it's very interesting. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Do you like the video you just watched? Then you should click on the like button and move over to click on the subscribe button. Also, you should click on the bell to get notified anytime we drop amazing episodes of Tea or Coffee for you. Adios.